He was just a worker until this happened, and it changed everything. John Miller was just an ordinary guy, or so he thought. He worked as a mechanic in a small town, fixing cars, getting his hands greasy, and living paycheck to paycheck. He never expected much from life. He had learned to settle, believing that this was all he deserved. But life has a funny way of showing you what you are really worth, even when you can't see it yourself. John's life revolved around routine. Wake up at 6 a.m., make a strong cup of coffee, and head to the garage. His boss, Mr. Jenkins, was strict and had a sharp tongue. He often criticized John for the smallest mistakes, never offering a word of praise. John shrugged it off, thinking that maybe he wasn't good enough. But he always did his job, often staying late to make sure every car was fixed just right. One day, a sleek black car rolled into the garage. It was a luxury vehicle, the kind you rarely see in a small town like this. The owner, a man in a crisp suit, stepped out. He introduced himself as Mr. Thompson, a businessman from the city who was just passing through. His car had broken down, and he needed it fixed fast. John, as always, was up for the challenge. As he worked on the car, John noticed something odd. The problem wasn't as simple as it seemed. It required delicate work, the kind that demanded precision and a deep understanding of the vehicle's complex system. John focused all his attention, losing track of time as he carefully repaired the car. Hours passed, and finally, the job was done. The car roared back to life, running smoother than before. Mr. Thompson was impressed. He asked John what the bill was. John, not thinking much of his skills, charged a modest fee, something he thought was fair. But Mr. Thompson raised an eyebrow. "This work is worth far more than what you're asking," Mr. Thompson said. "You clearly know your stuff. Why aren't you charging what you're worth?" John was taken aback. No one had ever said anything like that to him before. He just smiled awkwardly and shrugged. "I guess I'm just used to it," he replied. Mr. Thompson shook his head. "You have real talent, John. You should never undervalue yourself. People will pay for quality, and you provide that." John thought about those words long after Mr. Thompson drove away. Could it be true? Could he be worth more than he thought? For the first time, John started to question his own beliefs about himself. He realized that he had always been his own worst critic, never allowing himself to believe that he deserved more. That evening, John decided to make a change. He sat down with a notebook and listed all the things he was good at. He wrote about how he could diagnose car problems with just a few minutes of inspection, how he had never had a customer come back with a complaint, and how he often fixed issues that other mechanics couldn't figure out. By the end of the list, John was surprised at how much he had accomplished over the years. The next day, John went to work with a different mindset. When a customer came in with a car issue, he confidently explained what needed to be done and quoted a fair price for his expertise. The customer didn't flinch, and John realized that people were willing to pay for quality work. As the weeks went by, John noticed something remarkable. His customers were happier, his workload was increasing, and even Mr. Jenkins began to treat him with more respect. Word of mouth spread, and soon people from nearby towns were bringing their cars to John. They said they trusted him because they knew he was honest and skilled. John's newfound confidence spilled over into other areas of his life as well. He started taking better care of himself, eating healthier, and even taking up running in the mornings. He felt stronger, not just physically, but mentally too. He began to see himself differently, no longer as just a mechanic, but as someone who had a lot to offer the world. One day, as John was locking up the garage after a long day, Mr. Jenkins approached him. "John," he said, "I've been thinking. You've been doing great work here, and I think it's time we talked about a raise. I can't afford to lose you." John smiled. It was a small acknowledgement, but it meant the world to him. He nodded and said, "Thank you, Mr. Jenkins. I appreciate that." But John knew something else. He had outgrown this small garage. He wanted to do more, to push his boundaries even further. So, a few weeks later, John took a leap of faith. He decided to open his own garage, one where he could set his own rules and charge what he knew his work was worth. The day he opened the doors to Miller's garage, he felt a sense of pride he had never known before. The first few weeks were tough, starting a business always is. But John was determined. His reputation for quality work had already spread, and soon, customers started pouring in. Miller's garage quickly became known as the best place to get your car fixed. People came from miles around, not just because John was good at what he did, but because he treated every customer with respect and honesty. He knew what he was worth, and he made sure that his customers knew it too. Years later, John would look back on that day when Mr. Thompson walked into his life. It was a turning point, a moment that changed everything. He realized that knowing your true worth isn't about money or success. It's about believing in yourself, recognizing your talents, and not letting anyone, including yourself, undervalue them. John's story spread throughout the town, inspiring others to look at themselves differently. He became more than just a mechanic, he became a symbol of self-respect and determination. He proved that when you know your true worth, the world will see it too, and you can achieve things you never thought possible. In the end, John's success wasn't just about fixing cars. It was about fixing his own mindset. Once he understood his value, everything else fell into place. And it all started with a simple question from a stranger. Why aren't you charging what you're worth?